behind the scene, they work very hard to do what they do, to stay motivated. This is the teacher's reality show. This is the teacher's reality show.
The Teachers Naija reality show.
Okay, welcome to the interview.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have a set of 5 questions to ask you.
Okay, ma'am.
And I need you to answer each question in 1 minute.
Okay.
Your first question is, why did you decide to become a teacher?
Okay, exposure during NYSC started building the interest, but after a while I saw that it was actually something that I loved. Watching kids get a question, run down the stairs to celebrate. I knew that I wanted to be the source of that kind of happiness for them. So passing that knowledge and helping them get it was always key for me.
Okay.
All right, your second question.
All right, sir.
How do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
Okay, one thing that I always know is that the most important thing for me as a teacher is to build a lifelong learner. So irrespective of the subject or the topic that I'm about to teach part-time, I always know that it's not just about the knowledge. Skills that they get out of it, character building is always key. So when I plan my lessons, I always have it in mind that, one, these kids are coming from different backgrounds, so I always cue my lesson plans to accommodate such differences and needs.
Okay.
Okay, so your third question here, how would you handle a parent challenging your teaching method, your curriculum, or classroom management?
Okay, I have several examples though. Because of the kind of person that I am, my emphasis sometimes is not always on the child's grades. I am more about the child and his character. So it's not uncommon for me to have parents come up to me to say, this is not what they want. But the idea is that communication is always key. Parents we let them into exactly what we are trying to achieve, and then help them to understand the place of the character. But the most important thing that we also need to notice that children need to have something that shows that they are doing well. So we can't completely put that out. But for the parents, once you communicate properly, I think we can all get ourselves on the same page.
So if you have a parent
who complains about my methods?
Yes.
I would, the thing is, my methods are not rigid. I'm always allowing for flexibility to a large extent.
Next question.
Okay, sir.
Describe a troubling student you've taught.
Okay.
And what did you do to get through to them?
Okay. Permit me not to use names. Some days before coming in here, I had a child who wasn't coming to school. And I'd had personal relationships with him in the past. So the first thing I did was to go to his house. And then I needed to know what kind of person he was perceived as at home. So that helped me to understand the exact kind of needs and troubles that he was going through. So when it comes to class, I don't, one, isolate him in front of the other class, but I know that the questions I can direct to him are going to be different from the ones that I can direct to others. So I always try to then create that kind of bond and friendship so that he can trust me with things that he may be going through that he may not be able to share with others.
What kind of trouble has this child given you before?
One of the things is I think he was a lot restless. He was restless, and whenever it was time for him to pay attention in class, he wasn't. But what got me moved was the fact that he was now staying out of school. So.
Okay.
So have you ever made any mistake with a student?
Severally. There was one that I wanted them to do something on the assembly, something to build their interest in the class they were about to go to. And I wanted them to sing and dance. This particular child is shy and doesn't always want to do that. So when she said she wasn't going to sing or dance, I told her she needed to go home. So when she went home, the parents came, I explained, and it was sorted.
Okay. You think you handled that very well?
No, I didn't. I think the parents made me know that the idea was not to send the child home. I could have isolated her and talked to her in private. Sending her home was completely wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the interview.
Thank you, sir.
We have 5 questions to ask you, and you have 1 minute to answer each question.
All right, sir.
We wish you the best. Question number 1. Why did you decide to become a teacher?
Growing up, I had difficulty speaking at a very fast age, at a very young age. Many teachers ignored me. But when I was 6, I could remember I had somebody who was a teacher, passionate teacher, who took me as a son. So I was able to speak. I was told all this and do. So I know of this person very well. So growing up, 7, 8, 12 years, 14 years, I still see this person and I see how passionate this person is about children. And I look around too, I see people who have passion for educating young ones, people, about how life should be. Growing up, when I got to SS3, I had nothing on my mind. It is either I become an engineer or I teach. Because I know that these are the 2 areas I'm very strong at.
Okay, so your second question is, how did you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you very much. I teach with empathy. I put myself in the shoes of my students. I understand where I'm coming from. I knew how my teachers handled me. When I was young, they would tell me I'm a very stubborn child. But I still have people who understood me, and they saw that things must be done well. He has to learn. So I ensure I do that too in my daily teaching activities. I understand I'm not teaching children of the same trait, individual differences. So I consider that each time I teach. I know when to ask questions. I know when to say, you keep quiet. I know how to bring them together, because emotional intelligence and social intelligence are very key to a teacher of this century.
Okay. Your next question. How would you handle a parent challenging your teaching methods or the use of curriculum in the classroom or class management?
Okay. The truth of the matter is no parent has ever challenged me. Any child that has ever passed through me, and anyone that will pass through me, we always enjoy it, because I bring teaching and learning process to the parents level.
If a parent challenges you,
peradventure, a parent challenges me,
yes,
I'll be open to listen to the person. I am open-minded. That is one of the skills I have edge. I have an edge with over my contemporaries. Despite my traits, I'm still open-minded. I will listen, check what I'm doing, and I'll see how to inculcate that, because every child must learn. No matter what, every child has his own learning system. So I will calm down and see. If your children don't learn how you teach, then you teach how they learn. Learning must take place. So you must pay attention and see how you can help it.
If a parent is upset, what will you do?
If a parent is
upset with you, what will you do? Call or email?
As a teacher, I have to be modest. I have to be respectful. So I will try my best to calm the person down and say, ma, what can I do? Tell me how I can teach your child better, and I will do it. And I will give the person a time limit. If there is no changes name, you can hold me for it.
Have you ever had any troubled students? How did you handle that?
I have many troubled students, because growing up too, I used to be a very stubborn boy. So there were ways they handled me. It's not by flogging. I actually don't flog. But what I do go a long way. I do many things. For instance, I believe in the principle of reinforcement, punishment, and reward. My punishment in this case does not mean caning. In fact, in the 21st century, especially in Lagos State, child protection law prohibits me from beating a child. My own is to devise every method that will make the child learn, and have many methods I do, which I can list out if I still have the time to do so now.
So tell us about a mistake you've made with a student and how you were able to handle it.
Okay, I am presently teaching in a girls' school. Teaching girls can be so funny. The way I play, girls try to misconstrue me, and they have a misconception that, oh wow, he likes me. By the time you are telling a girl, oh, you are doing well, I like it, keep on, and you are coming too close to the girl might begin to think something else. I've made that mistake. But for the past 5 years, I have no troubles again. I create boundaries with my girls now. I ensure that teaching is teaching. Discipline is discipline. Friendship is friendship. There must be limit to everything. So that mistake, I don't want it to repeat again.
So what happened in the course of that mistake you made earlier?
A girl almost put me in trouble, whereby it will be very bad of me to be heard of that I'm going out with a student, my student, which I will never do in my life. Lagos State law prohibit this. It's 16 years for someone like me. They will say, you of all people that we know with all your pedagogical skills and popularity on this job, you still involved. So I almost fell into trouble with the girl because the closing was too much to an extent that she will begin to chat me up now and then. I have to cut it because I was called to face a panel like this. But I was exonerated when they saw facts. When people, students, say, Mr. Ladipo can never do this.
Up.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome to the interview.
Thank you.
I have 5 questions to ask you, and you have 1 minute to answer each. That's 5 minutes, Okay. So your first question is, why did you decide to become a teacher?
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Well, I didn't just decide to become a teacher. I felt I was called to become a teacher. Initially, while growing up, I used to have this idea that I was going to be maybe a journalist because I was interested in writing scripts and carrying out investigations. But along the line, I saw the teaching profession as the call to save is where I should be in, because I was surrounded, with activities that involve teaching. I mean, from church, I was always there leading the children's choir, leading the children's department.
So you stumbled into teaching?
Yes, I just saw it that way. It came to me like a call, and it has been an exciting experience.
Okay. So you are called, just like a pastor. All right. So how would you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
Well, that's a process. I, first of all, will identify my students, their learning abilities, and how they respond to lessons, and then get to identify which of them has a need for special attention. And then by so doing, I'll be able to manage my class by getting methods, applying teaching methods that will not just affect the cognitive domain only, the affective and the psychomotive domains, to ensure that my students are carried along and then learning takes place.
Okay, thank you. So how would you handle a parent challenging your teaching methods, your curriculum, or your classroom management?
Wow, interesting. I love that question because I have experienced it a lot of time. And first of all, I try to work on my emotions because I do not really like it when parents try to challenge my methods, because I feel I am the teacher. I understand the students. I understand what happens in their academic life. And I believe whatever methods I have strategized to use in teaching that particular child is the best for that child, because we have very many methods and we tend to change them. So I believe parents should allow the teachers, allow me to use whatever method works for me and that child. I don't really like it though, but I've tried as a teacher to
So
handle
you're
it.
trying to say if a parent walks up to you and picks a fight, what will you do?
Personally, I don't even know how to fight, but,
But if it does happen,
I redirect whatever fight it is to the head
no,
teacher.
to you, not to the
me.
head teacher now. The parent is
I will
on
definitely
you.
not engage in the fight, but I will try to educate that parent to make him or her see reasons why these things are done this way. And
All right, so.
there'll be a change of mind from there
Oh.
on the parent's side.
All right, describe a troubling student that you've taught. Describe a troubling student you've taught and how you were able to get through it.
Okay. I had this hyperactive student in my class. He was actually very good. I would want to mention his name. But academically, he's been sound, he's good, but he tends to be, he doesn't coordinate, and he likes fighting and involving other students in, this kind of fighting, quarreling, train of stones and all of that. So what I did was to give him this positive vibes, reinforcements by telling him he could do better, without fighting and bullying his classmates. He could do better without this. He could do better by sitting attentively. And then I tried to bring him very close to me so that he sees that I love him so much and I wouldn't want him to be bullying others. So I think it started, working, and he's reduced
So you
it.
effectively handled that situation?
Yes, I was able to. Because
So if you have you ever made any mistake with any student?
Yes. Like in terms of, please, in what aspect, ma?
Generally.
Dealing with students.
Okay.
Have you, probably your attitude toward the students or how you handle the particular situation?
Okay. Yes. I think there was this day I wasn't feeling well, and I went to the class and I couldn't handle my emotions a particular day, and the learners kept disturbing me, and I had to take the early years class, standing in for the core members, and they just couldn't let me, get over my own ill health. They were coming and all of that. So there was a particular child who I gave an instruction, and she did not carry it out, and then I refused to mark her books. I told her to come back later, and I forgot, and the parent called my head teacher, and that wasn't funny at all. So I felt that was a terrible mistake. I should not have allowed my emotions, my ill health, affect my job that day. So I felt very terrible.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the interview.
Thank you, sir.
We have 5 questions to ask you, and you have 1 minute to answer each of the questions.
Okay, sir.
Your first question is, why did you decide to become a teacher?
Wow, interesting one. Yes, I chose to be a teacher because I discovered that in my secondary school, when I talk, people listen more to me, and I'm able to pass my message across. So I decided to go for NCE to be able to teach and, for students to teach, for students to understand better. I have passion for teaching.
Okay, you have passion. Didn't you think you were trying to lord yourself over people, that they were forced to listen to you?
No, not lording over them. I just discovered that there's this grace, maybe I should use that word, the grace, that when I talk to people, they believe in me and they understand the angle in which I explain things to them better.
Okay.
So as you teach, how do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
Social emotional learning. When I teach, I bring in, I try to make my students understand the reason for each topic I teach. If, for example, if I'm teaching shapes, now I make them understand the rationale for teaching shapes, which will help them socially to be able to understand that for every building there is an aesthetic that, so socially they know that this design brings, helps to, beautify increases their appreciations for beautiful things, and which, you know, socially they are able to integrate very well with either grade, status of class, whether they are coming from a low background, people in the middle class or the high grade. So socially they are able to fit in because they've learned to appreciate things in their beauty. Then economically they know that, yes, they can have big buildings.
Emotionally.
Okay, emotionally. Emotionally, it also helped them to know that, no, emotionally they feel that people because I teach in a government school, their friends in the high class or the higher grade, status, are not better than them. So they are not intimidated.
That was a nice one. But your next question is, how would you handle a parent challenging your teaching method or generally your teaching methodology in your class, probably your classroom management as well? How would you handle a parent challenging the method you use?
Now, if I have a parent come into my class and has problem with my method of teaching, the first thing I would do is I would first try to educate the parent the reason for that particular method of teaching I am using. Maybe I have observed my student and I know that that particular method of teaching is best for him or her, because these days teaching is personalization, is individual teaching, where you have to put into consideration your learners. They also have their own opinion. So if I am using a method that I need my student to also give me feedback, I need her or him to tell me the way she perceives the learning, then I go by it. So I will take my time to educate the parent on the need why I had to use that particular method of teaching, because I believe that teaching is an individualized thing. My students have their opinion, and I have observed them, and I know the method that is best.
Have you ever heard that some parents in some schools pick fights with teachers before?
Yes.
So if that does happen to you, if it happens to you, how would you handle it?
The first thing I'll do, I'll report to the appropriate quarters, let my head teacher know about it, and I wouldn't respond. I'll just quietly go to the head of the school and report the case.
Is it because it's an interview you're saying you wouldn't
No. In fact, it's part of the government policy. We have hierarchy. In fact, parents, because it is government school, they can walk up to you in your class without going through the normal procedure. So if they come that way, I just quietly tell them that we can go to the head of the school, they lay their complaint, and I withdraw.
Okay, so describe a troubling student you've had to deal with, and how did you get through to them?
Troubling student I had to deal with. Yes, there was a time I had a student who is not fully autistic, and whenever she comes to the class, she has this thing, it's like mood swing. At times when she sees a male teacher, she just feels that she would want to stay in that male teacher's class. So what I did when she was in my class was, once I identified the male teacher or whoever she is close to that week, I tried to get the person to first come to my class. Then he talks to her and make her see the reason why she has to sit down and learn in the classroom. And because she's attached to that person that week, so once the person talks to her, she settles down in the classroom. And for that whole week, you have a smooth ride with her. You won't have any problem teaching her. So that's what I do. I identify the problem and, find solution as regards the way the problem comes.
Have you?
Okay, sorry.
Have you ever made a mistake in the course of teaching before?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so tell us, like one you've had with a student and how you're able to handle it.
Yes, there was, I teach maths. I think I was teaching minute or so, and we're talking about the list of it. And I think I stopped at, was it minutes? And the student actually got the answer right. And I felt slighted because of the way he said it. You know, he knew it and he was confident that he knew it. So what I did was I told him to come to the class, come to the front of the class and defend it. So he did that. And after he did that, I now told the class, the truth is that the way, the method I use in teaching them is also right, but that he had done more research. I tried to, you know, integrate. I didn't really allow it to be pronounced to the student that I did not get it right, but he got it right. But I had to make him come to the front of the class to teach others.
Okay, you had already given them a wrong answer to the question, and the young boy or girl brought out the correct answer.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's okay. Thank you.
So I made him come to the class to prove why the answer should be that, which he did, and it was right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
For sharing that too. Madam, welcome to your interview.
Yes, ma'am.
We have 5 questions to ask you, and you have 5 minutes to answer them. 1 minute for each. So the first question is, why did you become a teacher?
I became a teacher while looking out for what would become in life. I applied in Unilag and I had 245 as my cutoff for my JAM. So the cutoff for medicine was 243, but because I had P7 in my English, I couldn't do it. So I quickly went to University of Lorraine to pick up my another admission. So I was given applied chemistry. So on the basis of the applied chemistry, I focused more, and I went to run my PGDE. Then the first person that encouraged me that I met in University of Lorraine was in education sector. So he encouraged me, so I picked him as my guidance throughout my years in University of Lorraine. So from there,
you stumbled into teaching?
I stumbled into it, but I love what I'm doing now.
Okay.
Well, you love what you're doing now?
Yeah, because I'm getting more money from it.
Okay, that means from the onset, perhaps you didn't really like it.
From beginning,
Yes,
but it wasn't so long.
Okay, so in the course of teaching, you've got the
Enjoyed
passion.
it so much.
Okay, so how do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons? How do you incorporate social emotional
based on
learning?
case study, my case study, I'm a case study of the whole thing. It's into my children.
Yes.
Now, most times when we ask them, do you want to become a teacher? They said no. So I tell them my case study. So most of them, presently, the school I am, they want to. They don't tell me that they don't want to become a teacher, because you can be a teacher even in Nigeria and run an international business through teaching online. So it paid off. Now what the children are looking out for is money. Most times they complain that they don't have money, that why the adulthood, whether it's scam or not. But what they needed is what the reason why we're working is because of money. So I made them to understand that even as a teacher, they can still make their dollar, because the reason why they are going for that scam stuff is because of a dollar. They can still make their dollar in Nigeria. I remember when COVID-19 started, I resigned. I never knew COVID-19 was coming. And maybe when it started, I started teaching online using Microsoft Scheme, Google Meet to teach my students that have traveled out. So they know that there is money.
Okay, so how will you handle a parent who challenges your teaching method?
I've once had that. In fact, one of the parents is one of the ones that is backing me up now, because that time whenever she comes to the school, all the teachers be like, this woman has come to school, she has come to complain. Mrs. Ambrose, what are we going to do? So most times I meet with her, and what she complains about, maybe the tenses of teachers making mistake, then I try to tell her, because she's a perfectionist, and to work with her. And most times she doesn't even meet the teachers directly. She goes to the owner of the school to complain. As soon as that is established, the teachers reject a lot. So most times I meet with her, and she's one of my best parents now, because I teach the children. They're in UK now.
That's fine.
Okay. So have you ever had a parent come in to pick up a fight with you?
It's the way I handle them, because they are the sole, that is because of them. Number one, we're in the school. If their children are not in the school, who are we going to teach? So coming to fight is the way we express ourselves to them. Number one, they have the right to come and fight because they need the word for their money.
Okay.
Because they need the word for their money, so we must talk to them with respect and let them, we ought to know as teachers, despite that they need to respect us too. Because where I worked, you need to respect me as a teacher. So they need to respect, we also need to respect them because they bring in the resources.
Okay, so describe a troubling student you've had in your class before. Any troubling student you've had and how you were able to resort or resolve the situation.
Troubling?
Yes.
I never had any trouble. The only thing I had is in teaching. It's a trouble for me because I have about 3 of them. Then I was teaching math and chemistry. They had issue with math.
Okay.
So most times, I don't allow them to go for break.
Okay.
If break is 30 minutes, I'll tell them use 10 minutes. Of course, my own break is also affected. Use your 10 minutes for your break. Then the remaining 20 minutes, I inculcate, I engage them to learn more. Though to some of the classmates, they feel that maybe it's gender or what do you call it, inequality, but at the same time, they understood the fact that while I was teaching, he would tell you, say, Ms. Ambrose, I'm not getting what you're teaching. I say, okay, don't worry, you're going to use your 10 minutes. So extra classes on him has really helped me. And when he did his IGCSE exams, he passed very well.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us about a mistake you've made while teaching.
About teaching?
Yeah, probably how you handle the situation, how you handle the student.
Oh,
What happened?
I had one cleaner. That was my first school. Then before Lagos, they would say, don't use scale. In the classroom, she's a daughter of a cleaner. So everybody paid, but because she's the daughter of a cleaner, maybe I think they pay 10%. So a boy now reported that they've stolen his economics note. And that guy, his note is always complete. So he had a complete note. So when he came to me in the chemistry lab that somebody has stolen his note, I quickly followed him. We looked for the old notes in the class, we couldn't find it. So somebody now said, somebody in that class was SS2. Somebody in SS1 now quickly told me that she saw the girl taking something to the toilet, so we went to the toilet. So as soon as we got to the toilet, she was already fidgeting. I picked the note in the toilet and I called her. And because of annoyance, we've been looking for the note up and down. The first cane I raised went straight to her eyeball. The first cane I raised went straight to her eyeball. They had to take her to loot, to check. I was just hands down. You know, so many people said is what they call it, the people in the village that followed me, you know. But I was able to, the principal, the only thing that the vice principal did was that he was able to know that Ambrose does not do this. That is because of the situation around it. Though the parents called police and whatever, so I went, they said I should not go there. I went there, then we sorted it out. Thank God the eyes wasn't affected, so we settled it. But since that time, even in public school, I don't touch cane. I prefer talking to them.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Welcome to the interview.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we have 5 questions to ask you, and you have 1 minute to answer each of them.
All right.
So the first question is, why did you decide to become a teacher?
Thank you very much for your question. I decided to become a teacher because I have passion for children, especially those that are less privileged or those without financial wherewithal, right? I believe that education is a pathway to success, right? And the easiest way to make a difference in my society is to reach out to those young individuals or young child who don't have access to basic education by volunteering to teach in various institutions that I've worked with, and then make a difference in their lives.
So you're saying if you had the opportunity of working in a multinational company, and this is the job of a teacher offered to you, pick a teacher because you have passion?
Yes.
Seriously?
I come from a family where most of my relatives are not that educated, and I'm one of the few that are privileged to be educated, and as such, I can see a difference in my lives and some of my peers that are educated and those that are not educated, and that inspires me to always reach out to children and make a difference. The whole essence of living is to make a difference in your world.
So how do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
How I incorporate social and emotional learning in my lesson, first is by ensuring that my set induction is dramatized by me. At the same time, have one-on-one interaction with my students, because if you don't understand people's problem, then you can't provide solutions to that. So the first and foremost is to identify the problem of those students, enable them have a trust in you, and then relate with them socially. And as such, you incorporate that into your lesson by using day-to-day activities, your challenges as a person or challenges you've seen in the society, and you use them to solve their problems.
Okay, so that's a good one. But how would you handle a parent challenging your teaching methodology or class management?
Well, there's what we call the eclectic teaching method. That means combining two teaching methods, right? So if a parent is challenging my teaching method, I would listen to the parents by having a one-on-one interaction with him or her. Okay, tell me what you have in mind. What exactly do you want to bring to the table? If he or she tells me her idea, then I can incorporate it, because the whole essence of being a teacher is also be a good listener. You listen to parents, you also listen, to yourself, your instinct, and also follow the curriculum, right? So you combine both, and then you'd imbibe that in your teaching. Because if parents are not satisfied, then there'll be a problem.
So if a parent has perhaps she or he is a teacher somewhere, and he feels or she feels a particular teaching methodology or pedagogy will be better for the particular child, her child, and you as a teacher teaching that child feels otherwise, how would you handle that?
I'm in charge of the child. I feel I understand the child's domains generally. So I will still have interaction with the parents. Then I'll break it down and make her see reasons why I feel what I'm proposing or what I'm using, the method I'm using would make a difference in the life of that child. And I'll also make her see reasons why the whole essence of this is the success of that child. And we can now bring our differences together, and make something meaningful out of it.
Okay.
Okay, so describe the troubling students you've had to teach. What happened and how did you handle that? How did you get through to them?
One of the troubling students I've had to teach was a student who had a career choice issues. Her parents want her to be a doctor. I mean, she's obviously in science class as such, and she isn't doing well. She wasn't doing well in science class, and I realized that she could do things with her hands. She's dexterous. She's more artistic in nature, and every now and then she's troubled in class. She doesn't listen. She's down. So I had to call her to my office, and then we sat together. I offered her drinks. We talked, water, soft drinks. We talked, and then what exactly is the problem? And she told me that, I made her realize, do you realize that you are not doing well? She said, yes. I said, okay, what exactly is the problem? And she told me she's not comfortable in science class. I said, okay, who exactly? Is it a personal choice or you were forced? She said, my parents forced me. I said, okay, no problem. I said, have you spoken to your parents? She said, no. So can you give me your parents' number? Then she gave me her dad's number. So I called the father. Then I had a discussion with the father that whatever you want your child to be doesn't matter. What matters most is what the child wants to be. And this is like a technology age where we should allow our child to an extent to make a choice in terms of career. Then I gave an in-depth analysis of her child's performance in the school. Like in science area, core science subjects, this girl is not doing very well. And do not forget that she's very intelligent. And intelligence is not a function of being in science or being in art. Intelligence is a result of being able to do what you can do and do it effectively well without being coerced or being forced into it. So I said, why don't you just give
Thank
us...
you. Next question, please, sir.
All right, thank you. Have you made a mistake in the course of teaching or entire teaching career before?
Yes, I have.
Oh, really? So what happened? Tell us about it and how you were able to address it.
Okay, so while I was teaching, I gave a wrong example. I felt that was a mistake. I gave a wrong example, and then a student said, "Sir, I think that is not correct." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm not a monopoly of knowledge. Let's dance around it and see if it's correct or not." Then we did, and I threw it open to everyone. Let's carry out a research on it. Then we did that and realized that, okay, I was actually very wrong. Then I told them, "See, I'm not a monopoly of knowledge. I'm learning in the process of teaching you also." So we learned together, and that was it.
So you couldn't apologize to them that you are sorry you gave them a wrong example?
Definitely, I always apologize to my students when
They just did say that you only owned up that you're not, you don't have monopoly of knowledge, but there wasn't an apology given.
There was apology.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to your interview.
Thank you.
We have 5 questions to ask you,
Okay.
and you have 5 minutes to answer them.
Okay.
So your first question is, why did you decide to be a teacher?
Yeah. I decided to be a teacher because of my passion for learning, because of my passion to groom others, to transfer my knowledge, what I know, transfer it to other people. Because I could remember when I was in secondary school, I do have a teacher whom I like his personality because of the way he connects with us as students. He's always active, he's always playful, he reasons with us, he tries as much as possible to behave in a way that we can emulate. So I started off like that, liking his personality. And when I got admission into higher institution, it was a privilege to study an educational course. And after graduation, it was still a privilege for me to...
So you're a seasoned teacher?
Yeah, I'm a seasoned teacher. I've always been a teacher.
So how do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lesson delivery?
Yeah. As a teacher, I always try to relate with my students in terms of the way I dress, the way I interact with them. I try to understand them, their emotional well-being, their likes. So I try as much as possible to help them do away with the bad attitudes and also enlighten them more of moral values, things that will actually benefit them in the society today and in the future. And also, I am someone who is always active with my students. They know me anywhere I go. They're always proud of me. They always call my name. So it gives me joy, and as a result of that, majority of them are always interested in my class. Like if I'm not around or maybe I'm just a bit late, they always want me to be in the class. So I'm always connected with my students because they understand me very, very well.
Okay. So if you have to handle a parent that is challenging you, how would you do that? The parent is challenging your teaching method, your curriculum, or your class management. How will you do that?
Yeah, if the parent is challenging my teaching method, I think the first thing is for me to understand what the parent actually needs. Like if you're challenging me, it means you want something different. So I think I would try to understand the parent's perspective of learning and see how I'll be able to incorporate that with my own methods, then devise a new method or probably improve. That if at all I've assessed myself and I discover that my methods are not that effective. So I try to make more research and improve in myself.
Okay. So describe a troubling student you've taught before. A troubling student you've taught before and how you were able to handle him or her.
Okay, a troubling student. Okay, I don't know the definition of the trouble here.
Maybe a student who gives you challenges while trying to pass knowledge across to him or her. Or a child who perhaps has ADHD or something like that.
Okay, I think I once had a student like that in a primary school. This student is very, very, very intelligent, but playful. So most of the time when a teacher is in the class, the child is always playing, and sometimes it's because in the school setting, you're not allowed to beat a child, or you understand. So, and in this case, instead of beating that child, I was able to sit that child down. I advise him, and sometimes even while I'm teaching, if I notice such attitude in him, I usually give him signs like a kind of disapproval of his attitude. And because this child at first doesn't understand me, I try to get closer to the child, made him my friend. So in this regard, whenever I'm in the class, the child is always interested in me. So if he tries to misbehave, I just give him that a bit negative response that I don't like what he's doing. He just gets back to learning.
So you've had success with that?
Yes, I've had success with that.
So have you ever made any mistake?
Mistake?
Dealing with, yeah.
No one is perfect. No one is perfect, so there is always mistakes.
So can you tell us any example? Describe what situation that you made a mistake in. How you handled it.
Okay, in that situation or in...
Any other one?
Mistakes.
In the course of your teaching career.
Okay, I think one of my greatest mistakes was at the earlier stage of my teaching profession. I had problem identifying students who are weak, like the weak learners. So I focused more on the strong ones and the average ones. I enjoyed those ones. Sometimes when I teach, in fact, I always want the strong ones to respond, so not minding the weaker one. So I feel that's the greatest mistake. Yeah, that wasn't good at all. So it got to a point where I got to understand that these learners, they are important. They all paid for their education, and no one is above others. And I can't actually say because this one is more important, this one is more brilliant than the other, then the brilliant one is important. No. So I have to bring them together and teach them.
Okay, thank you for your response.
All right, thank you. We have a set of 5 questions to ask you, and each question, you have 1 minute to answer it.
Okay.
The first question is, why did you decide to become a teacher?
I found out that I loved being around children, and it gave me joy. It still gives me joy. Pardon me, please. And I think it's a fulfillment. It's my purpose. A lot of things have proven it because of the kind of persons I've met with, the lives I've taught, and the feedback I've gotten from these persons I've met with.
Okay. So how do you incorporate social emotional learning in your lessons?
That's a subject alone in my school, PSCD, Physical, Social, Emotional Development. And before I came into the house, I had actually taught my children feelings. And something I made them understand is, if you do not tell someone how you feel, the person would not know. And you will end up just assuming. So whatever way you feel, that was actually after I had told them the meaning of feelings, different types of feelings. So if you don't, you have to be able to discuss how exactly you feel about something or someone, so the other person can know what your opinion is about such.
Okay, so good, you're talking about feelings and emotions right now. So how would you handle a parent challenging your teaching methods or even the curriculum and your classroom management?
Okay. So far, I've noticed something about challenging, or complaining rather. So if a person comes to complain, in the way I take life, I let you complain. I let you say everything you want to say. And I don't counter what you're saying at that particular point in time. Most times, I might even agree with what you've said. And by the time I see you're calm, I then give you reasons why this is being done this way and the aim we have for following this particular method. And in the long run, it works because the person is now calm and receptive to hearing what you have to say. Unlike when the person is all agitated and wants to prove a point and also you're talking at the same time.
You don't pick a fight with a parent who is agitated?
No. Customers are always right.
Always?
Customers are always right. You just have to hear them.
What if it's a parent who challenges your teaching pedagogy that is right for that particular child you're teaching, and she's actually bringing something else to the table that wouldn't work?
Like I said earlier, sir, I just let them complain. Like, just say everything you want to say. And then I might even agree with you that, oh, I think this would have also worked too. Okay, we'll try it. But this that I was doing is supposed to be to this end. So, but okay, no problem. So thank you very much for this improvement, this advice. I assure you I'm going to work on it. And the parent is happy, I'm happy, there's peace, and we move on.
Right. Okay, so can you describe a troubling student you've had to deal with?
A troubling student?
Yes.
Troubling. In what aspect exactly? Because I don't know. I don't think I've tagged any child to trouble. So I really don't know.
If you have a child who throws tantrum, a child who
doesn't want to learn,
who doesn't want to pay attention and distracted your class when your class is going on, something like that.
Might have a social disorder.
Okay. If I have a child who has a social disorder, I call the child to myself. The truth is, if not for Teachers Naija, I wouldn't have known it's a disorder. I see it like maybe the child is going through some, how do I put it now? The child is going, the child's mind is not just set to learn, and I don't blame children for that. So if you're not ready to learn, it's fine. Sometimes I even give them my seat to sit. Sit down, do whatever you want to do, just be calm. And then later we'll talk. Tell me what happened. I take a primary 1 class, so they all know how to speak. And there are times when in class they'll just tell me, excuse me, Miss Queen, I think there's something I want to tell you. I don't teach. Please tell me what you want to tell me first, because there's no point standing in front of the class and acting all the drama. Nobody's listening to you. So if I have a child who throws tantrums, I mean, you sit next to me for the rest of the day, because we need to talk and rub minds and come to a mutual agreement.
Okay. Have you ever made a mistake in your teaching career before?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about it and how you were able to address it.
Okay. I have mistakenly, like unintentionally, disobeyed my school authority. And it affected the parents of the children, the parents of the child actually, then in my class. And honestly, I did it because I just wanted to correct the child and not do the over-pampering and all that. And the child's parent came to school. My school authority called me. But we have said, if this happens, do not do this. Do not react this way. I felt really bad that a meeting had to be held on that situation. Yes. So after that, I have a very good relationship with my parents, not my school parents, and the school authority. I actually thought I was going to lose my job that day, but no, because the same parents who came to school to report me, flaring and all that, when she was told that, okay, no problems, ma'am, we're going to send this teacher away and all that, she said, no, this is actually the best teacher my son has had. So I stayed back, but then I took the correction. I mean, there are times, I'm a human being, there are times when emotions rise and you feel you're doing the right thing, but it's not. So I've tried to put that together.
To take care of that situation?
What I did exactly was to apologize to the parents. Like, I mean, I apologized verbally, non-verbally, physically, action-wise, and everything, yes. Well, apology was the key.
So were you punished by the school authority?
No, I was supposed to be sent home, but the parents said no, that I was the best teacher her son had had. So he's in a different class now, and the parent is still asking if I can switch classes for her son.
Wow. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
This is the Teacher's Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Thank you so much for chilling with us till this time. We really do appreciate you. Don't forget, like I said, it is not over until it is over. Your teachers need your votes like never before. And it's time to remind you that the vote ends on November 19 at 7 a.m. And you can do this by going to our website at www.teachersnaija.com. Or you also go to www.elfreak.com/s/tn and keep engaging us on our social media platforms at Teachers Naija, on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to keep subscribing and following us on our YouTube page at Teachers Naija Reality TV Show. From moi and all of us in Teachers Naija Reality TV Show, I say to you, we love you.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Everyone has been taught by a teacher. They all grow to become strong leaders.